Counterculture is, definitely first and foremost Christ-centered ministry, focused on the life of Jesus. As barbers, what we're really doing is we're trying to counter the new culture that we see coming, where the digital age, as important as it is and how much it helps us in some ways I think it's gotten a little out of control and kind of disturbed basic humanity in some degrees. And so sitting down, having a conversation person to person, getting a haircut, having a barber touch your hair, it's a very personal, basic human kind of a thing, so we want to really hold on to that. We want to focus on an old school haircut, getting to know each other, the clients within the community that the shop is in. So this one being in Schwenksville, Pennsylvania. If it goes to another town and another barber does that, to be a pillar in that community is what we're going for. Also within the shop itself, behind the scenes, the barbers, for example, that's where that program around the apprenticeship with guys coming from prison and out of addiction to change their lives and break some cycles that have been there that caused that addiction and that imprisonment. And that's a hard cycle to break, and it takes a support team around you, and it's an all-around thing. So using this building where the shop is on the bottom floor and the apartment units attached to it is residential live-in for guys that are coming out of prison, coming out of addiction, to do the program. It is that serious for a year long, both inside of the shop and after hours when the shop hours end. So people can be there for each other, hold each other accountable, and just, yeah.
I remember my dad, every time I cried, he'd be like, boy, I'll give you something to cry about. So, you suck it up and you weren't supposed to cry and show your emotions. And I learned since getting out of prison this last time and going into the program that men do cry. Men need to cry. You need to let that out. Whatever, men show emotion. Real men show emotion. And I've learned that growing up, it wasn't cool, or you weren't a tough guy if you cried or shared your feelings. And now it's like that stuff is what actually brought me deeper and deeper into a drug addiction, by holding on to that and not sharing things and expressing things, or just being open about anything. I buried it. I never showed emotion. I would never cry. And that ended up just building up inside me and causing me to, use other alternatives to handle things.
There was a guy there by the name of John that was a barber before and would make a good barber. So when I was explaining to John particularly, he was all in. He was really excited and wanted to see what it was about. He was considering going back into a field that he was in prior his jail stint, and that's what a lot of people do. And my message to them was, when you're coming out of jail and you go to a place like Liberty Ministries, which is a year-long ministry, you have a job at a thrift store, you have a group of people taking you to work, you have a roof over your head. It's a full year where you can focus on yourself and God. My recommendation to John was, don't look to just check this place off as like a box, like this is where I have to go when I leave jail, and go get back in a job that you had before. Dude, you did that before. You in your addiction, you worked that job that's in your past. Now you have a chance to see what your new life could be. In Christ, as a Christian, seek Him and see what He has for you. And so John, I believe, really did that by coming with me and listening to what I was saying about barbering, because it wasn't sitting there telling him, you know, you're gonna come make a bunch of money so you can buy any car you want and, you know, do all these selfish things. It was about, you're gonna be able to serve others, you're gonna be able to connect with other people and build relationships, and all those things come. But that's what got me excited about John, was that he was at a point in his life where you could tell he was done and he was ready to do something different and trust someone else other than himself. And, you know, that's a big part of it too, learning to trust other people. When we always lean on our own understanding. When you're 30, 40, 50 years old coming out of prison again, I think it's, you know, without trying to be a jerk, it's pretty clear that your own understanding doesn't take you to a very good place. So I think guys really need to be able to humble themselves and say, you know what, I'm going to trust this person. I'm going to trust these people in my community group and the things that they're saying, whether I disagree or not. I'm going to trust it because my way's not working.
Phil came and talked to us while we were in the program and offered a barber apprenticeship. And that night that Phil shared his testimony with us, me and him, the similarities were, I completely could understand everything. Like, we are very similar in so many ways, our past and what we've gone through. And he asked, who here is interested in a barber apprenticeship? And I raised my hand and I was interested and let him know my history of using clippers. And we exchanged information and met, had a talk, asked me what I thought, and I told him I'm all in. And I took that leap of faith and completely changed careers at the age of 37 years old.
How old are you now?
I'm 40. Yeah, I was 37 when I was at the later half of 37 when I met Phil. And then, but yeah, and it's been my dream. It's actually the first job I've ever loved.
So when I had gotten out of prison around 7 years ago and was in Liberty Ministries, just searching and praying, a lot of prayer, a lot of faith. I had lost everything, just, you know, heroin addiction and troubled, you know, youth and some really bad parenting. And so realizing a lot of people not only never got the tools that they needed from their parents, but they actually got bad tools. I was one of those people. And so I almost didn't, you know, a lot of times you might not make it out alive when that's the case. So my last couple times in prison, having no family, having no one, and being completely isolated really brought me to a deep place where God met me and was able to show me a lot of different things. And so coming into Liberty, I was praying for His will in my life, and barbering was something that I always did, and it was just a very clear pull, inner kind of epiphany, like going in that direction. And God uses other people. There was a guy that was there, he mentioned it, and then my mentor 2 weeks later mentioned barbering, completely unrelated. And so when I decided to do it, I felt in my heart what made so much sense about it. The working with people, the conversations, the relationship, me being able to use my testimony. And God was really able to show me that this was going to be a mission. This was going to be a ministry. It was very clear to me from the beginning. And so once it started to actively change my life, I started to see it more as a way to go back in on the barber side and use that as a program to help men change their lives. And so it's a very intricate thing, the way it works, as far as a customer coming in, the barber working with the other barbers, like family and leadership, going in a certain direction. We meet on church on Sunday. We have men groups during the week, where it's not about being religious. It's about, taking a message on Sunday and applying it to your life during the week and getting together as men and living in a community, whereas men have a lot of pride and for whatever reason want to do it on their own, sometimes carry a lot of burdens and a lot of weight by themselves that you don't really realize until you start to live amongst community of other men with that. It actually becomes doable. And so you get to see the growth in these men's lives as they're acting this out, and they're getting a license and a trade and developing these intricate relationships with their clients where now they feel comfortable to share about their divorce or their cancer diagnosis. And so it's just an extremely healthy, therapeutic environment where people being with people and sharing and living life together in community really shows how vital that is. And so I really think that's countering the culture that we're going into with more of autonomy and doing things virtually, which again, we utilize those things doing this. We know that's where we are. So we want to utilize those things where they're important, but remember, to balance that.
I remember when I first came out here, my mom was like, that was the worst decision that you ever made was go to PA. Now she tells me it was the best decision. And I truly believe that. I truly believe God brought me from California and had me go through what I did for him to find me, because when he found me because I wasn't looking for him. And it's weird. That's how God works. He's got a crazy imagination, man, and he pulled me out of the wreckage, man. And I can honestly say that I sit here with almost 4 years off of all substances. Haven't been in handcuffs in over 4 years, and I got my kids back in my life. I have my family behind me. I just got engaged to my beautiful fiance, and we're starting a family, and we're going. And it's just amazing, man, to see just how God blessed me. And the crazy thing is, it was I kept asking for things, like praying to God for things, and God gave me these things that I prayed for, but it was all in His time, and He gave And it's just truly amazing when you put all your faith in God, and through His tests and through the struggles that you have to go to, and God's mercy and grace is amazing, man. And He's completely restored everything in my life that I lost before finding Him.
So John really did that. He trusted. He leaned in. I watched John grow and stretch himself. When we were at our first shop before COVID that I owned with Sal in Phoenixville, he was getting very good there. And that's where he built most of his skills. And so he started acquiring clients there. And so when it came time where I was coming down here to do more of the vision of the ministry and focus more on the apprenticeships and growing as a barber school, John was hesitant in the beginning, and I had 9-10 barbers at that time that I was essentially walking away from to come over here, which is a lot more rural of a town, as you know, Schwenksville here versus Phoenixville. And so John in the beginning was very on edge and could have went either way, and had some fear there about taking that leap, right? Taking that step. Like, things are good. Like, should I, now I'm going to leave and go somewhere new. And so, but that's where the growth was with John. John's next step is going to be opening up his own shop, and him leaving Phoenixville, coming out to a town like this, and seeing his strengths and being able to rely on what he's good at. It has given him the confidence that he needs to be an owner and to go out and do his own shop. And so you can't have one without the other. It's like being battle tested. You have to, and it was a good thing in Phoenixville, but he had to leave and he had to trust in himself and his abilities and watch that growth happen to him was awesome for him. It was awesome for me to see. And so now he's just that much more confident in his abilities, and he's doing incredible. He's about to get married. So yeah, it's awesome.
So in the future with counterculture, I definitely, a goal of mine, and me and Phil have talked about it, is I'm going to be branching out another counterculture barbershop, becoming a partner with Phil, and starting this, just spreading ourselves wider out here. That's been a goal of mine since I got into barbering, was opening my own shop, but truly understanding what Phil's mission was when he came over here and what our mission is here. It's like, yeah, we need to keep this going, man. And then, so that's what I foresee in the future, but I also foresee us grooming men like we have out there and bringing them up and teaching them not only to be barbers, but to be men. That's what I truly believe, that counterculture here. It's a very unique shop. You don't see this in any other shop that I've ever even seen. It's very unique, and people are hearing what we're doing, man. And it's amazing to see when we're doing God's work, what it can do, and it's reaching people, and they're really behind what we're doing, and it's awesome, man.